Hey, this is Dan Kalis with FullyFundable. I'm going to be going over the SBA Form 1919, whether it's for the Bolt loan or otherwise, but primarily for the Bolt loan. And I'm going to go through the document, which contains a couple different consent forms. When you pull up this document, this is a fillable PDF. And depending on what you're using, you can use this annotation here to add text boxes or signatures or things like that. This form, contrary to what it says, does not need a wet signature. So in the signature field, you can actually just use a text box. If you have Preview, which is a Mac app, you can go right here and you can already have saved your signature and you can add it that way. If you don't have that as an option, you can simply do a text box like this and just put your name in a text font. You can, manipulate the text size or anything like that, but that would be sufficient. And then, ABC company, et cetera, et cetera. So you're going to do that for the first form. This is consent to verify basic information. The second consent is consent to contact you by telephone. This is the lender that I work with primarily for this type of loan program, Credit First, powered by Bay First. Same thing here. Actually, this will just, when you type the company in here, it populates down here as well. Consumer signature, that's you as the primary owner. This form needs to be, by the way, filled out by all applicants who are a personal guarantor. So anyone that is 20% owner or greater needs to fill out this and this. So each person should probably just go through this document on their own. But what I'm going to show you is that, and you can read all this information if you like, but it has 3 sections to this document. Section 1 is borrower information, but it's for the business specifically. So section 1 is business. This really only needs to be filled out once. If you want to split up this document, you can, but basically if one partner, if there's multiple partners, fills this out and the others don't, they can skip this part. OC is operating business, operating company versus passive company. 99% of the time it's going to be OC. In fact, passive income companies like real estate income and so forth don't actually qualify for SBA anyway. DBA, is the applicant a cooperative? ESOP, most of the time this is not applicable. Do you plan on using a 401k rollover for equity? That's usually going to not be the case. If this is yes, you would probably know it. Will a management company be hired by the applicant to manage daily operations? Usually you have a management in place already, so this is not going to be applicable, so it's probably no. Basic information here. Loan amount, max is $150,000. It's up to 30% of your top line revenue. So put the amount that you qualify for, that you're looking for. On purpose of loan here, just again put $150,000 for working capital. There's a separate use of proceeds form that you're going to specifically put the details, which I'll go over in a separate video. Number of existing employees. This is just W-2 employees domestically in the U.S., part-time and full-time. And then if you feel like there's jobs can be created from this loan, put that there. This is a list of all owners of all percentages. So no matter what their percentage is, if it's 1% or 100%, need to be listed here. Although only owners with 20% ownership or more will be required to be personal guarantors. These other people will not be contacted. We just need to know what the ownership stack looks like. Okay, we're going through the questions here. Most of these are pretty self-explanatory. You check yes. If you make a mistake, you need to uncheck it. A couple of the ones that are maybe a little bit tricky here. Number 6, does the applicant have any affiliates? What this really means is, do you have any affiliated businesses? Are there any other businesses that you have ownership in? And if so, you click yes, and then I'll show you a separate document for the affiliated businesses. You just list them out. And if there are revenue, an active company, the lender may ask for some sort of financial documentation, usually tax returns, just to make sure that they're in good standing and that there's no issues that are going to be potentially jeopardizing your interest in multiple different companies, especially this one you have a loan on. And then, has the applicant or its affiliates ever filed for bankruptcy protection? If you have, as long as it's, not within the last, I think, 3 years, you just need to do a short letter of explanation or in an email, no big deal. Pending legal action, things like that. Usually these are self-explanatory. Okay, so once you're at the end of the business information section specifically, it requires a signature of an authorized representative of the applicant. So this can be you as one of the owners. It could be also an authorized representative who can sign on behalf of the company, maybe another executive, C-suite, CFO, something like that, CEO that might be non-owner. So then we get down to section 2, which is the individual owners. So regardless of if there's multiple owners, each owner needs to be filling this out separately. All this stuff is self-explanatory as well. One thing to point out here is that it's important, number 17 through 20, that whatever you check, you also initial below here. So again, you can basically you can just do a text box and then put your initials in there, and then you're going to save it. Have you been arrested in the last 6 months for any criminal offense? So if it was a felony charge but never convicted, there can be a statement of character and a letter of explanation, and we can overrule that in most cases. If it's a misdemeanor, same thing, just letter of explanation, but it's not prohibitive. Okay, so this is all self-explanatory here. Then we go down, we're still in section 2. Are you presently suspended, debarred, proposed for debarment, or voluntarily excluded from participation in this transaction by any federal department or agency? So if you have like an FTC judgment or something like that, most of the time it's going to be no. You need to list that. If you are a 50% or more owner of the business, and you are more than 60 days delinquent any obligation to pay child support. So again, you have to check yes. And if you have an outstanding, or any partner in the company has an outstanding legal case related to child support or other legal lawsuits, that could be prohibitive as well. This question 23 is similar to the one we talked about before about affiliated businesses. So you basically would check yes if you do, and then you'll have the affiliated businesses. Addendum: have you or any business owned or controlled by ever obtained or guaranteed loan from the SBA or other federal agency? This, if you have any type of other SBA loan, that's fine. You can have up to $5 million in SBA loan balances attached to your personal name at any given time. Doesn't matter if it's on one loan or 10 loans, or one company or 3 different companies or 5. And then again, if you do, then you just need to check these other boxes over here, yes or no. And then you sign the end of section 2. And then section 3, entity owner information. This only applies if one of the owners of your primary company that you're applying for the SBA loan with is an actual entity itself. Sometimes it's one entity that owns another entity. Sometimes it's a couple individuals or one individual plus an entity. So that is only the case if you don't have another LLC or C Corp as an owner, then you leave this entire section for the rest of this document blank, these questions blank, and doesn't need to be signed. So once you get this, you would save it, maybe put your name on it, and then resend it back to me. If there's any issues with this form, you will have an opportunity later to be sent a DocuSign version of it with the edits and adjustments, so there is room for correction after the fact. But hopefully this has been a good explanation. Let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, look forward to getting this document from you in the process. Thanks.